Hi, my name is Stevenson. I'm the Director of Strategic Initiatives with the Right at Home Housing Society. I'm really excited to be speaking to you today as part of International Week because international studies have played a huge role in my life. I studied international development in my undergrad, and that took me around the world to live, study, and work. But wherever I went, Edmonton, Alberta, Canada has always been my home, and I'm so excited to share a local story of work being done to alleviate poverty. As a fiercely proud Edmontonian, I of course feel a sense of pride when my fellow citizens achieve something outstanding. And I felt a huge amount of that pride recently as a soccer fan or football to the rest of the world with, of course, Alfonso Davies. So at just 20 years of age, Alfonso is considered one of the greatest soccer players in the world, and he, like me, just happened to call Edmonton home. Alfonso has quite an amazing story. He was born in a Liberian refugee camp in Ghana and came to Canada with his family when he was 5 years old. As a young elementary school-aged kid, growing up in Edmonton, he took part in a program called Free Footy. This program gives inner-city kids who can't afford registration fees or equipment or even transportation to games an opportunity to take part in the beautiful game. From this modest starting point, there was no stopping him. By just 15, Alfonso was already a professional soccer player, and he was soon signed to one of Europe's top teams, who just won the European Championships, mainly because of Alfonso. Alfonso's journey from refugee camp to global sports icon is an inspiring one. And the way his story is told points to two different perspectives on how we can potentially end poverty. One type of story that we hear about Alfonso's success is how it shows that hard work and dedication can allow people to overcome poverty. This type of story leads to poverty alleviation strategies focused on access to jobs, education, training, to help people pull themselves out of poverty. This is what I like to think of as the latter approach, providing opportunities for folks to climb their way out. The other take on Alfonso's story is that it shows how vital social supports are in overcoming poverty. His access to free footy, not to mention universal health care and education in Canada, are pointed to as conditions for his success. This safety net approach to poverty elimination is about providing a minimum level of support to ensure that no one is living in destitution and to offer more universal access to programs and services when people can't access them by their own means. Both approaches make sense, but what's interesting to me is that they both focus on the individuals in poverty. This to me creates a sense of us and them and suggests that our destinations lie apart, when in reality, all of our destinies are linked together. The UN Global Goals fact sheet really highlights this beautifully when it says, as human beings, our well-being is linked to each other. We live in complex times, and we need everyone's contribution to ensure we can thrive as both local and global communities. When people talk about someone beating the odds, it reminds me that it's actually our societies that are taking a gamble by setting the odds against anyone. The gamble is that we're missing out on a piece of input from someone and not allowing them to reach their full potential and contribute. For every Alfonso out there that makes it, there are undoubtedly countless others for whom the stars don't align for. And given the caliber of talent that it took Alfonso to make it, imagine how many other entirely ordinary gifts we miss out on. This poverty is societies as a whole, and why we all need to care deeply about ending it. So, what can we do as individuals to help alleviate poverty? The UN strategy focuses on both ladder and safety net solutions. The Global Goals Summary document highlights key actions needed by government, including creating an enabling environment for job opportunities for the poor and the marginalized, and providing strong social protection systems to mitigate the effects of poverty and prevent people from falling into it. So when it comes to what you as an individual can do, the UN highlights that your active engagement in policymaking can make a difference in addressing poverty. As undoubtedly important as this is, many of us will know that policy change is complex to bring about and often happens very slowly. It can be really hard to be patient for this systemic change when we see the impacts of poverty right in front of us. That's exactly what was happening in Edmonton's core neighborhoods back in the 1980s. Before this time, homelessness was more of a hidden problem. There were people living in temporary and substandard housing, but very few people were absolutely without some form of shelter. This all changed in the early 1980s when a series of policy decisions began to leave people truly unhoused. Edmonton's inner city neighborhoods began to see huge numbers of people living on the streets and experiencing extreme poverty. In the face of this crisis, a group of dedicated community members got together and decided to take action. They pooled their resources and purchased a single home. And this home provided some modest bedsit rooms for about 8 people. And in addition to the roof overhead, the community group also provided the supports necessary to ensure that people could be successful in their new home. This included helping people connect to resources, advocating for them with various government agencies, and even simple things like grocery shopping and teaching them how to cook. While it was a small first step, this grassroots response to poverty has since grown to nearly 700 homes for Edmontonians. The Right at Home Housing Society now serves close to 1,800 people in the city, providing a safe, permanent, and affordable place to call home. We believe our work is making a difference in ending poverty in our community. But you may be asking, how does housing address poverty and not just homelessness? So affordable housing can help alleviate poverty in a number of ways. At present, over 40% of renters in Edmonton pay more than they can afford in rent. More specifically, that's 47,000 households who are spending more than a third of their income on rent. And of that 47,000, 25,000 are spending more than half their income on housing. Anecdotally, we know families that spend nearly 100% of their income on housing. So as you can imagine, there's very little left over to cover basic necessities like food, clothing, and school supplies. So in this way, the very cost of housing can be what causes poverty, and providing affordable housing offers an immediate remedy to this situation. By reducing the cost of housing, affordable housing directly puts more money back into the hands of families and individuals. And in certain circumstances, that's all that's really needed to alleviate that poverty. The other role that affordable housing plays is that it can remove many of the impacts of poverty by allowing people to live in places where they can thrive. So this includes safe, healthy, and well-maintained housing in neighborhoods where there's access to stores and transit. Investment in affordable housing also goes beyond just individual households and benefits the entire neighborhood by replacing derelict buildings with beautiful new construction and providing services and amenities that the whole community can enjoy. So again, in this way, affordable housing helps to eliminate poverty in all its shapes in our communities. And a final role that affordable housing plays in eliminating poverty is breaking the cycle when poverty passes down from generation to generation. A survey of youth living in homelessness in Canada found that 2/3 of them had grown up in families that didn't have access to safe, permanent, and affordable housing. So giving children the chance to grow up in a safe and stable place helps ensure that they themselves don't grow up in poverty, and then makes it more unlikely that their children will grow up in poverty either. So in this way, affordable housing can really be seen as both a ladder and a safety net. It gives people the stability they need to take on economic opportunities, and also provides a safety net to ensure that they are not living in unhealthy or unsafe conditions. And when you add those two things together, I'd suggest you get something even greater than the sum of the parts, a true foundation that allows people to thrive. At Right at Home, we believe affordable housing empowers people to be fully part of our community and contribute their unique talents and passions, whether in the workforce or through volunteering, art, community building, or just being a great neighbor. I appreciate that up until this point, I've just been sharing ideas, and it's easy for things to sound good on paper. So now I'd like to switch and show you some true life examples of what Right at Home has been able to do by taking poverty alleviation and putting it into practice. So we are proud to build and operate housing for all types of individuals and families who need a place to call home. We provide everything from a small bachelor apartment up to 5-bedroom family homes. And in addition to different types of homes, we also offer a range of rents and supports. So we have some rents as low as $30 a month and are able to provide lots of wraparound social services for folks who need them. And we go all the way up to what we would call low end of market. So folks who are working but maybe just need a bit of extra help to pay all their bills with a break in their rent. And beyond just buildings, we are proud to have built true communities. These are just some of the folks who call Right at Home home, and they have each truly enriched our city. John, for example, in the bottom right photo, started living with Right at Home in 2013. An underlying health condition had resulted in John having a double lung transplant and left him unable to work. But as his recovery progressed, John began taking part in our Supportive Tenant Employment Program, or STEPS, which provides casual employment opportunities for our residents in our maintenance department. So John soon began taking on a leadership role and now works as a live-in caretaker for his building. John does an incredible job of ensuring that people feel welcome, and he keeps the building in excellent shape. There's also Marianne on the top left-hand corner. Marianne is a single mother of 3, and she also needed to take in 2 of her sister's children when she was no longer able to care for them. Marianne is a phenomenal mother to these children and has also managed to build an incredible sense of community in her building. Through conversations with her neighbors, Marianne identified the need of women who were new to Canada to gain access to maintenance training, both to help keep their homes in tip-top shape and also to gain employable skills. So out of Marianne's initiative came an expansion of our STEPS program to what we call the Sister Crew. So the Sister Crew provides on-the-job training and employment opportunities in a woman-focused environment. These women help keep our properties in great shape and reduce the cost of our new construction projects. And the contributions of our tenants isn't limited to employment opportunities or maintaining our physical properties. They contribute to the true fabric of our community, whether Mark through his beautiful art or Elizabeth through her avid volunteering in her community. Having a safe, permanent, and affordable place to live allows each of these individuals to contribute their gifts, and we are all the richer for it. So, as you can tell, I am a huge believer in the role that affordable housing can make in ending poverty. But I'd like to go one step further and suggest that it can also be the foundation for many of the global goals. I'd like to illustrate this idea with a project of ours that we took in partnership with the Westmount Presbyterian Church. So the church was an aging building that was very expensive to operate and was no longer viable for the church community. The congregation decided that they wanted to resize their space and use the remainder of their land to provide affordable housing. So using affordable housing to address poverty was the foundation of this project. But as we began building, we saw that this housing development could be the vehicle for so much more. We realized that we had a fantastic opportunity to incorporate green building technologies. The entire roof, as you can see here, was turned into a solar array, and geothermal energy was incorporated along with heat exchange and high-performance building envelopes. And in addition to the partnership between the Westmount Presbyterian Church and Right at Home, the project just grew into a huge collaboration, drawing from the philanthropic, community, and government resources. In the years since opening, the project has gone on to deliver so much more. A communal kitchen supports food security for all the families living there. The project also helped keep the school across the street open, providing educational opportunities for the whole community and supporting a more sustainable neighborhood. The women in the development formed a network and hold weekly ladies' nights meetings to promote gender equality and mutual support. The list goes on. The building has integrated beautifully with the entire neighborhood and has created such a strong sense of community among both our residents and the folks who live in the neighborhood. So if I've convinced you that housing is key to ending poverty and meeting other global goals as well, then I'm happy to also be able to share that there are many steps you can take to get involved in this direct effort. The first is supporting government administrations that prioritize and value affordable housing. You can also speak out publicly in support of affordable housing if it's proposed in your community. We call this being a YIMBY, a Yes in My Backyard advocate. You can also choose to donate money to organizations like ours or others providing safe, permanent, and affordable homes. With Right at Home, every dollar you invest goes directly into building new homes for Edmontonians. I'm so excited to have been able to share how I see housing as the foundation to ending poverty and really the basis of so many of our sustainability goals, not just for individuals, but to ensure our global community has all the talents and insights it needs to achieve a more sustainable future. Thank you so much.